Hello, hello. Welcome to another Rapid Fire Marketing virtual event on LinkedIn Live. I'm Moreno, your host, and super excited to be here. Excited about all the nuggets we're going to discover today about building that all important subscriber list. Your business's most valuable asset worth more than dollars. Before we begin, let me remind you about the chat feature. If you have a comment or question, type it in the chat. Joining us today is a superwoman and an amazing image visionary. And when I say amazing, I mean it. What is special about her is that she likes helping business people, just like you, build your public online image and speak with confidence. Did you know the virtual distance between you and your ideal prospects is just one communication tactic away? Online live events like this one. As you listen to her, you will learn important tactics for building your subscriber list. Today, she'll be sharing her methods which can help you get more prospects onto your list. Let's welcome Debbie Reynolds. Debbie.
Moreno.
Over to you.
Well, I'm so happy to be here again, to be able to share some really great content and information, and to be able to do it with somebody like you who in the marketing world is really supporting and helping people. So thank you. And by the way, you did share something really important in the intro, and that was not that I'm Superwoman, but the fact that the email list is the most important asset that a business owner has. That's really, critical and important information. So yes, I do love helping and supporting people in business, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Moreno, for the opportunity.
Excellent. I've a collection of questions that I'm going to use to guide this conversation. Questions based on what, why, when, how, where, and who. Let's get right into it with the first question.
Perfect.
And I'm going to put that up on the screen. What personal information do we need from prospects, Debbie?
That's really good. A good place to start, certainly. And when we're talking about an email list, people actually talk about it as an email list, an electronic mailing list, a subscriber list. It's one of the primary ways that we use to connect with people. So one of the first things that we have to be aware of is that we've got the valid requirements, the legal requirements, and have actually valid consent from people to communicate with them on that type of a platform. So different countries require different things. So wherever it is that you are, wherever your business headquarters is, you need to be aware of what those requirements are. And especially when you have this reach globally, if you're communicating with people in other countries, you need to abide by what those legal requirements are. So again, we're talking about it as an email list, a subscriber list, an electronic mailing list. So when we talk about what personal information that we need, I have actually seen people use something as basic as just requesting an email from a person to be able to communicate with them. But I think it should be more, actually, because other people use first name and they use an email address. Of course, we always need the email address. That's the basic. But they also include a cell phone number. And that actually is utilizing and facilitating the use of text messaging and text messaging apps to inform or let people know that certain events are taking place and coming up soon. So it is another great leveraging tool in the form of communicating with people and keeping them up to date about what is happening. Others are requesting first name, last name, of course, the email address, and then the phone number on top of that. But the recommended basics that you're needing is first name and the email address. And I think that's really important. And so, that personal information can support us in moving us forward to building up a good, viable list, which essentially can be done with a couple hundred people all the way to a few thousand people or more. There are people that have lists that are 20, 30, 50,000, 100,000 or more. But essentially, they're people that are really interested in what it is that we have to offer to others in the marketplace.
It makes total sense that the minimum information that we need, and we really don't need more than that, is a name, because we're communicating with the person. It needs to be personal. Right. And we also need an address. Where is this person? We have the communication vehicle, which will be the email. Where do we send the email to? So those two are essential. I agree with you. Name and email address. Debbie, why do we need that specific information and no more, which is really elaborating on what's really been said?
Yeah, so again, the basics would be the first name and the email address. So the first name is really to personalize a message and a form of communication. It's really no different. It's a spin-off of when we're first meeting somebody in person. We extend our hand, we shake hands, we say hello, and then we introduce ourselves as by first name. So that is the beginning part of building a relationship on a first name basis. That's where we build the know, like, trust factor. We are developing a more open, honest, authentic relationship with other people. So it's the bridging point of communication. So the keys to building and nurturing the list is what we want to focus on too, because this is where we provide real value to people. So that initial connection where we get to talk to people, communicate with people, send them messages, send them videos, things of value or of interest to the other person. And then we want to build the email list because we own that list. So that specific information becomes really important because that's an asset in the business that we own. So even when we're requesting the email address, very often we're saying, put in your best email, because nowadays people have more than one email address, and not all forms of emails are we actually checking on frequently. And if people are subscribing to lists on a continual basis because they're doing research, what happens is their main inbox, they may not want to have that inundated full of emails. So they use a different type of email that wouldn't normally be publicized to other people. But it's just a way of kind of keeping all the newsletters and things compartmentalized in an area that they're not going to be overrun or inundated or overwhelmed with the amount of emails that could be coming in. So we want to build that email list. We want to be able to provide value to people. And the beauty of this is that you own that list. It's an asset. So it is not controlled by other platforms such as social media platforms. So if you end up in jail in one of those social media platforms, you're not losing access to that list and it's not being limited to you. Of course, you want to build an email list that's viable to the products and services that you offer, and nurture people in such a way that they want to hear what it is that you have to say. They want to receive that information. They're actually looking forward to it. And understand this, so we're actually 6 times more likely to get a higher click-through rate through emails. And emails are actually about 40 times more effective at acquiring new customers than other types of platforms. So we know that that's such an important asset in the business that we still want to use that as a really solid form of communication when we're interacting with people.
You're right, that when we formed a valid connection with a hot prospect, the most valuable and effective form of communication is the email. Email has been around forever and is still as strong as ever. It's very effective. And all we need to start this email communication is the name and email address. And also the prospect will not feel pressurized as they would feel if we ask them for too much information that they may feel is redundant. Now, Debbie, when should we collect this information?
Good question. And that has some controversy in the industry. Some people say as soon as possible. However, think of it this way. When we were in our traditional networking events, We would interact and communicate with people, introduce ourselves, have a conversation, learn more about their business, share business cards traditionally. And then there would be an opportunity, can I send you some information? There would be the request of, can I have your permission to send some information to you? So in the online world, from some of those legal requirements is a double opt-in. We're actually giving permission to people, and they actually have to double opt in twice to confirm that they want the subscription or to get the email on a regular basis. So what we're wanting to do is ask permission in one form or another. But essentially, when we go to a lot of online networking events now, those events, it's sort of standard procedure now that people are putting in their email address, their website information, their Facebook address or their LinkedIn address or their Instagram contact information. They're putting all of that into the chat on the Zoom platform, for instance. And that is, in general, what people can save and what they can utilize to touch base and connect with people and collaborate with people. So there is an expectation in business that we're going to collaborate with people. And the way of doing that is exchanging the information, and it happens really naturally and organically. So there is an expectation that it's shared right away with people. So, part of that could be simply a conversation of, hey, I'd love to get together. We got a lot in common. Let's share our information so that we can have a conversation, hop on Zoom or another platform, get on the phone, have a discussion and a conversation and see how we can work together. So that can't happen without that exchange of information. In business, it's an accepted form of exchanging that information right away. But again, a conversation of, hey, we've got lots in common. Are you open to having a further discussion? And most people are going to say yes in that environment, because most people in business now are understanding the value of relationships, because everything we acquire is with and through other people. So we need those connections right away. They become important. So when we're inviting people to connect and building a relationship, we're also inviting them to come to our website and maybe download a free report or get information from us where we're sharing something of value with other people. So the sharing of something value is the process of giver's gain, where we give first, we share first, we add value first in the relationship, and considerably for a length of time before we ever ask for the money to sell a product, to sell a service.
The operative word that I hear there is we are building relationships. And when does that start? That starts immediately, and it's ongoing. And
True.
over time, we collect more information from these people, get to know them better. They get to know us better. Now, this is a very important question. How do we find prospects and collect their information?
Yeah, there's a variety of different ways that we do that, particularly now that we're in this predominantly online world. So the first step to that is the good prospects are the ones that we would consider as business owners the ideal prospect. So I think what we need to do is do an assessment of what it is that we're offering in terms of products and services, and then who is the likely ideal customer or prospect that would be interested in that. And people refer to that as the avatar, describing the ideal customer that they've had or their most favorite customer, and using that as sort of a framework for defining what the ideal would be. So, the good prospects would be people that we want to send referrals to, people that we'd want to receive referrals from, people that we want to collaborate with in business. So, or people that we want to develop partnerships with or joint venture relationships with in business. So those prospects essentially is starts with the idea of connecting and collaborating with people in networking and environments, online environments, but then building that email list. And that would start with a couple of steps, because to build that email list, we would need some sort of CRM software, or we would need some sort of online platform to make that happen. And in the case of emails, it's what we would call an email marketing provider in one way or another. Some people refer to that as Outlook or Kajabi, or we refer to that as Infusionsoft or Keep. It would be considered like MailChimp or Constant Contact, ConvertKit. There's a whole variety of different types of email marketing providers that are out there. It's just what works for us and what we think is most suitable for us. So we choose that email provider first. And then we have to think about, what is it that we want to do with that list, and how do we want to connect with people in a variety of different ways. So we're setting up that email marketing account. We're actually creating what's called an opt-in form, which typically would be either on a landing page or on a website. And then what we're doing is we're often sharing a freebie. We're enticing people to have something from us that is a gift. And that could be a video series. It could be a checklist. It could be a workbook. It could be an information cheat sheet. It could be something of value that the person who is considered to be the ideal prospect or target market would go, oh, I really want that. That's really important to me. That will help me to improve in a variety of different areas. It could be an email course. It could be a PDF document of some sort. So there are a whole variety of things that we could choose to give away for free. And that is the initial enticement to get people on to a subscriber list. So if we're communicating in a regular basis with emails and newsletters with that subscriber list, giving away things for free is the expectation now, where people want something for free. They realize once they've reviewed it and gone through it, they go, wow, this is really great content, super valuable. I want more of this. So I want to see what other products or services or information or value-added content that this business owner has to be able to share with us. So you end up getting a reputation for sharing great content and information with people. So creating a landing page for that opt-in report is important. A welcome message to say, hey, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for my free report or my free gift for you. And then writing the first newsletter, and then getting clear about sort of the topics or the type of newsletter that you want to have, the frequency, the type of material that you want to include in that newsletter, so that people are going to be interested in wanting to see the information and reviewing it on a regular basis.
Yes, because we know how we can help people, what we can offer. We know who our ideal client is, or avatar, as you call them. And when we know who they are, we know where they hang out. And that is where we go find them. And then when we find them, as you say, we need to have something to offer them, something of great value, something that they desire, something that they need, something that will make their lives better, something that will make their pain go away. And that way they get to know us, they get to like us, and most important, they get to trust us. And only then will they exchange their hard-earned cryptocurrency for our products and services.
True. Absolutely true.
So that was how do we find prospects. And tying into what I just said is, where do we find good prospects, Debbie?
There are a couple of different ways that we can do that, whether it be organically or even through paid ads, if we want to use a variety of different social media platforms and actually use paid ads that are very targeted with filters to go after a certain demographic, which would be very much in line with our ideal target market. But we don't have to do that with an ad process. So think of it this way. The average person now on social media is probably got about 100,000 connections. I mean, we belong to so many different types of Facebook groups. We're attending online conferences and events where we go into all these different membership areas and different types of groups on different platforms. So because the reach now is so much broader than a traditional networking event, we want to tap in to those connections. So any connection now is where we would find good prospects. So here's the thing. You just got to be clear about what it is that you're offering in terms of products and services, how you add value, and being able to identify those ideal target market people, those avatars. So we're going to have more than one avatar. we're going to have the avatar that would be purchasing our products and services, but we would also have an avatar of those people that we would likely collaborate with, that would maybe have large lists, that would promote what it is that we're offering. So they would have some business entity that would essentially be a great partnership with ours, where we could collaborate with them. So like, for instance, recently, and actually currently what's going on is one of my summits, which is Mastering Your Visibility and Influence. So those summit speakers, they have lists. So the idea is we want to create a win-win-win. You develop a summit, and information is one form of developing a list and finding good prospects. Each one has an exceptional topic, an area of expertise, which adds value to the audience in general. So we're sharing the speaker with an audience, and each speaker is sharing every other speaker with their audience as well. So everybody is winning. The prospects, the clients are winning that are attending the summit. Each of the speakers are winning because they're building up their lists. So it becomes a huge value for a lot of other people. So any connection is where we would find those prospects. The idea is, how well do we communicate about the types of people that we're looking for, or that the value of what it is that we offer? How well can we communicate that message? And that ability to communicate becomes really important, because whether we're doing it in person, verbally, whether we're doing it with video, whether we're doing it with a newsletter or a website or a landing page, that messaging is what we call copy. So the messaging has to be there to be able to identify who that particular audience might be that would be interested in the products and services, but understanding their challenges, their pains, their difficulties, what kind of a lifestyle they want to create, where they want to get to, so that we can communicate well the solutions of our products and services. They become important. That's a critical part of the process. So family, friends, colleagues, social media, events, conferences is where we're going to find those people. In our social media posts, how we communicate in social media bios, for instance, on blog posts, we're communicating content and information, or maybe by identifying and calling out who is that ideal prospect or target market that we're going after, and saying that this information is for you if you are this type of person or you're in this industry. So it could be on the sidebar of your website. It could be in various Facebook groups or forums or other places that readers would hang out if they typically have an interest in this very specific niche or area. It could be on different podcasts, guests as podcasts, in guest posts on other people's websites, articles in magazines, publicity in different areas on other people's websites, conferences and events. It could be in every email that you do, you have a PS or a signature in there and information about what it is that you're offering, or additional contact information, or hey, share this post if you find it interesting to your audience. So there are a variety of different ways that we can build and get more reach with that. And that requires putting together a really good content plan, and then executing it with frequency and consistency.
Yes, as with everything marketing, 20% of our effort and time should go into creating marketing content. However, 80% of our time and effort should be devoted to promoting ourselves, finding prospects, being out there. Unfortunately, our organic searches and results are nowhere near as good as they were 10, 20 years ago. Now, if we want really good results, the best results are obtained through paid advertising, which is what all these social media platforms are in the business of doing. And the other is affiliate marketing, which is what you touched on. That is definitely very effective.
Yeah, and actually in affiliate marketing and JV marketing, what it is they're sharing our information with their audience. But if there's purchases that are made, I mean, typically there is anywhere from 30 to 50% of a fee paid out to share. So the fees vary, of course, depending on who is sharing that content and information. But that's our way of saying thank you for these JV partners or joint venture partnerships that are sharing our information to their list that they've nurtured and developed. So it's a way of saying thank you. We want to pay them for that.
It has to be a win-win situation. And to find hot prospects requires a lot of work and a lot of patience, a lot of sweat and tears. So these people who provide us with customers need to be compensated handsomely. I agree with you. Last question, Debbie.
Yes.
Who are these prospects that we search for, who are so important to us?
As I said earlier, it would be considered sort of your ideal client. So again, really defining the demographics and the psychographics of the ideal person that you want to connect with and interact with as a potential customer. So it's not going to be everybody. People think, oh, it's anybody with, a face, anybody with this, anybody with that. It's not. We wanted the more tightly niched that we are in that marketplace in terms of how we communicate with that potential audience, the better off it's going to be. Because whenever you're networking or you're engaged, the typical question would be, who do you know who is? And then we go, oh, hey, I recognize that person. I know immediately who would be interested in your product and service. We can actually put a name to them and a face to them. So it has to be very specifically defined with that. So it would be people we can help personally or send a referral to, people who could help us, people we can collaborate with, do the joint venture partnerships with, or the affiliate relationships with. And you would ask the question, can I actually do business with this particular person? Or would I want to do business with this particular type of company? Is their values, their character in line with mine? Would it be a really good fit for collaboration? So I purchase their products and services. They would purchase my products and services. So we could ask, like, who would likely purchase mine? But we would also be networking and going out there thinking, whose products and services could I be purchasing and investing in? Who could I send a referral to? Who could send a referral back to me? So you always want to consider this give and take process, give and receive, give and receive. So always be thinking in both directions. That becomes really important. And then support. Can other people actually share my message with other people? Can I share my message with their audience? And can I share their message with my audience? So that back and forth process becomes really important. So we need to define who needs our products and services, who is in pain, who is having challenges, and defining, are these people the ideal people that would want to work with me because I can provide a solution for those people. I could solve their problems. I can make their life a whole lot better. I can create this amazing transformation for this person and change their life, essentially. That would be the type of people that we would be looking for when we're out there searching and marketing. So it's really not even underestimating who we are as people, but that we have an extraordinary amount of gifts and talents to share with other people. We want that ability to express ourselves fully and completely in the world without limitation. So that becomes really important too, is understanding who you are as a business owner, that you do have value and worth, and that you need to be out there sharing your gifts with other people. No shame with that. A lot of it is giving, and sharing, so that people develop that great relationship with you and want more of you and want to be able to invest in your products and services because they are valuable and they make a real difference in their lifestyle.
Yes, you say give and take. First give and then take.
Absolutely.
To get to the customer is a journey. And I see 2 blocks of time. The first block is finding the ideal customers, the ideal prospects. And then the second major block of time is building that relationship. That is what consumes most of our time. Debbie, we've reached the end of today's program. Wow. That was 30 minutes of abundant value from you. Thank you so much for sharing your ideas and experience on how to build our subscriber list fast. I feel so much more comfortable knowing more about building my list. Also, I appreciate you taking the time to make this event interesting and informative. Do you have any final words, Debbie?
Thank you, Marino. I appreciate being here again and chatting with the audience. So wonderful to do that. I want to also acknowledge our veterans. It is Remembrance Day here in Canada for those individuals that have created an extraordinary free life that we have and this opportunity to be able to leverage the online world. So thank you to all of them for that. And I also want to invite the audience, we're going to be posting on LinkedIn into the chat there a link to book a call with me called Explode Your Visibility Conversation. So it's a chat to see where you're at in terms of your visibility, how we can leverage that in the online world to get you more visibility so that you have a greater reach and you have the ability to influence others with your amazing gifts and talents.
Thank you, Debbie. To our attendees, a big thank you. Remember to contact Deborah by visiting her links in the chat. I've just put Deborah's link in the chat. Go there. For additional information, direct message us on LinkedIn. To your continued success and good health. Goodbye until we meet again next week, Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And by the way, Deborah is on again next week with another very important topic, boosting your confidence and visibility online.